So my name is John. I'm the CEO and founder of SalesTier. We're a data company. We work across all of the tiers. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last while, AI is everywhere, AI technologies. And what we're going to talk about today is practical ways you can use AI in your day-to-day business. But first, a little 101. What is AI? Popular movies would have you believe that it's going to take over the human race and we're all going to be enslaved. But actually, the reality is a lot less than that. I believe we're in the age of the assistant, where AI can help us do things quicker and faster and more productive, and really incorporating it into our day-to-day helps us get there faster. A lot of the time when people are talking about AI, they're actually talking about LLMs, all right? And what is an LLM? A large language model. Think of it as every spoken word, every piece of text, every book, every YouTube video, everything there thrown into a big pile, muddled together, and it allows us to ask questions and consume and have a conversation with a machine and get back responses based on that corpus of data, and kind of help us build something and talk through there. So what we're going to talk about here is 3 practical use cases for your beverage business. The first one is sell sheet generation. Sell sheets are probably one of the pivotal pieces of marketing material that you'll have for your brand. It offers information about your product. It talks about why you're differentiated, and it allows you to have a conversation with the buyer in either on-prem or off-prem and talk about your brand in a unique way. The second thing we're going to talk about is tasting note analysis. So if you are doing tastings with your brand and you're not collecting surveys or forms and some sort of question and response from your customers, I'll start that today. But secondly, once you start doing that, you can use AI to do analysis on that. That is much deeper than just the count of people there or the bottles sold. The third thing we're going to talk about today as a practical use case is building out the pitch deck. Again, another pivotal artifact in your arsenal when you are going to distributors and pitching your brand. It builds on the sell sheet generation, but it allows you to add in other aspects of your brand, be it your story, your origin story, what your plan is for the next future. And again, we'll talk about building up an AI and a conversational chatbot there that we can use to build out that brand. So first is for sell sheets. Any of these products, you could just say, generate me a sales sheet, right? And you will get a response, and the response will be quite confident. But what I'll argue is that if you build up a persona to have a conversation with one of these systems, you'll get a much richer and detailed response back. And what I mean by that is there's a few stages of building up this prompt. The first is defining your persona. Luckily, a lot of you here are in the beverage industry. You might be just describing yourself, your expertise, your skill set, what you know, but it might even be describing someone else in your company. So this person is in the drinks industry. They know about selling a product in on-premise. Build up that person who you'd like to respond back to you in this particular question. Then define the task and be really clear here. What is the sell sheet about? It's a sell sheet for an American single malt. It's a sell sheet for an agave-based spirit. Define it really concisely and clear. The next thing you need to do is add additional context. And here's where your brand gets layered in. So this may be bullets on, it's a 750 ml at 192 points at the San Francisco Awards, whatever that might be. Layer it in as bullet points so the LLM can have this additional context and start to learn where the goalposts are kind of going to be for its analysis. That's the next step, defining the goalposts. So as I said, these systems are quite confident. They'll always respond unless they're down, but most of the case, they'll give you an answer. You need to define what you're looking for back. So here you can do a lot of things. You can provide rich examples. So if you have a sell sheet for another product, pass that in, and we'll talk about a little bit later how it can learn your tone and how your brand is actually pitched. But give examples of what you believe is a good paragraph or a good opening or a good piece of information and say, I like this information, I like this tone, pass that in, and then the LLM will learn this, and I believe you'll get a much richer solution back, a much richer kind of context-enabled sell sheet for your business. The next practical one, often when I share this, people don't know that they can put spreadsheets into LLMs and get loads of magic back. Word of warning, don't put any sensitive information spreadsheets-wise into these unless it's a private instance, right? Anything you share can be consumed. But What we do here is, like in the first example where we talk about building up a persona from someone in the drinks industry who's an expert in a particular field, here you're building up your expert who's a data analyst or a data scientist, because that's who you want to answer the questionnaire about your particular data. So I have a toy example here where we've some tasting information and we've kind of rich text where people have talked about they like the particular sweetness of the bourbon or they like the price point, etc. This is quite easy with 5 examples, but do that over 6 months, 12 months, a year. All of these tasting notes that you have, you can pass this in, and then you can start to have a conversation with that LLM. Excuse me, sorry. Where it goes beyond the first level. You can go, okay, give me charts, and it'll produce all the charts. It'll tell you on Saturdays when you have tasting the bourbon as a winner, but when you have a tasting during the week, your RTDs are doing well. It'll do all of that automatically. And then you can go and dive a little bit deeper. What are the insights I need to know from these 200 entries? And it will summarize it all and tell you, this is what I believe the insights are. It'll look through the rich text, pull out all the keywords, and go, this is what I believe. Again, slight word of warning, it'll always be confident, so you do have to check on it. But there is specialized LLMs out there that are really based on this persona of data analysis, data thing, and often free. So if you're not doing this to kind of dive through all that data analyst stuff, do try it out and kind of get a better example there. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the pitch deck. Wouldn't it be great if you could just go generate me a pitch deck for every distributor that I want to access? It's not quite there yet, okay? You do have great tools in the field like Canva, which is great for presentation, and you turn on AI mode, it'll get really good information. But what I'm talking about here is when you're dividing your pitch deck, again, leaning on the personas, right? There's different sections in that pitch deck. There's the financial projection or the goal section, and that might be the CFO persona. And then there's the story, the home truth, and that might be the founder persona, right? And talk about the history and what you want to do there. And then you might have the middle section, which is the real heart and your progress. And again, you might have a different persona there. Building up this persona will get you really rich insights, better results back, and a real clear message on how you build out your particular product. One thing to mention here is tone. So I've mentioned tone a few things. It's highly likely that you'll have a website or you have existing sell sheets or other material. You can pass this in and you can tell it to learn your tone, how your company talks about itself, how the company likes to express itself, how the brand talks about itself. And you can even ask, if you have imagery from your product, you'll describe this image. What is the style? What is the aesthetic? And then you can pass that back in again going, I want more images in the aesthetic of my brand that I've used before. So really you have this iterative process. And I always think of it as, again, going back to the first point, it's the age of the assistant. It's not going to get you from the start to the goal straight away, but it gets you further up towards the finish line. So it really is key here, like defining your identity and your tone. Again, any particular pieces of information that you have, pass it in, iterate, strong, I like that, I don't like that, and kind of iterate that way. Again, utilizing your branding, right? You will have brand artifacts that are created by humans, as it is now, but use that, right? That is a really good starting point for building out your particular product and how to utilize it. And again, it is a starting point, right? Think of it as your assistant. You're bouncing ideas back. Think of the difference of going in with a blank slate going, I need a pitch deck. I don't know where to start. Here's something about my brand. Come back to me in a few weeks. And then it's not right. And you have to go back and forth. You can go in with a half kind of completed solution, present from there, and you're starting from a much better point. So some conclusions. It really is what I think using AI is. It's doing a job you could do, but it just makes it faster, right? Where you have the ability to question the outputs, and that's quite important. Like if you ask it a question 2 + 2 and it says 7, you know that's wrong, right? But you can iterate with it and talk about it. So where you already know potentially what the end goal is, you can kind of talk through that. For fun, again, you can do a lot of things there that you can put your face on a pop star and they can sing on a stage. You can do that sort of stuff, or you can do something a lot more kind of work focused. But do lean in. That's the message here. Lean into the technology, utilize it day to day, because it's only getting better. It will become an integral part of our day-to-day lives. Even going back to my first slide, if anyone is old enough remembers Clippy from Microsoft, he was there to help you do your presentations and do your thing. It's effectively a really strong assistant to help you get that work done faster. Word of warning, no legal questions, anything that really needs to be, stand over. It will give you an answer. It will be quite confident. There is specialized LLMs for this coming out that will be able to tell you that's strong. This is the legal rule here, particularly in the drinks industry. As you go state by state, there's different laws. It will tell you an answer. It's probably pulled it from an official website, but always double check. So that's just disclaimer warning there. So that's me. I put a link up there. All of the prompts that I've talked about here will be going on later today, just the full structure. So you can even copy and paste that as you talk about doing your own ones. But that's it. Thank you very much. I've been John.